Hello, my name is Gibby, this is Toto, and welcome to Gibby's Spooky Shack. This is the show where I answer questions from my community and go over news updates from the wider FNAF creator space. I'm gonna answer questions and just talk about stuff. How big was the file? This was on my new 36-hour long video about the Fazbear Frights books. So while a lot of people think that, and YouTube directly states that it has a 12-hour upload time limit, it actually is longer than that, as evidenced by the 36-hour video that I have, but there is a size upload limit. So I believe it's 250 gigabytes that you can't go above. My video, which I had to render at 30 frames per second, 1080p, came out to 186 gigabytes. So it could have been significantly longer, or I could have had it be in a little better quality. Normally I make all my videos in 4K, so it was definitely, it pained me to have to upload this at such low quality. But it's 36 hours, I was never going to finish it otherwise. Why are there 35 hours and 30 minutes of FNAF in my Brigadoon analysis? So, when I made my almost 9-hour video a couple years ago, I got several comments from people who said that the moment that they sort of locked into the video and realized it was going to be something special was when I did the little fake out and said I wasn't going to be talking about Autobiography of a Yogi, and then cut to a section where I was talking about Autobiography of a Yogi. Because there's a lot of people on YouTube who have made FNAF retrospectives, or all the FNAF lore, or just oh, I made it digestible to understand what's going on in FNAF. And the sort of, the above and beyond-ness that I did for my first video, again, looking at, as exemplified by looking at Autobiography of a Yogi, was to a lot of people the moment when they realized that what they were watching was more than just those typical, analysis videos. And so I really wanted that sort of mic drop moment for my 36-hour video, and when I was first making it, because I made it in parts, I talked about Into the Pit first, I thought that, oh, I'm going to go on this little funny side tangent about, tractor country songs. But looking at the entire project, it definitely was the Brigadoon analysis that was that moment. Because prior to that, I had talked about the different poems and Count the Ways, we talked about If I Could Not Stop for Death, we talked about The Fall of the House of Usher, but those are things that are directly named in the book as being important. Brigadoon is a passing reference in Fetch, and I was like, I'm doing this thing right, I'm cracking my knuckles on Toto here. We're learning about Brigadoon, and so to me, I feel like if I wasn't me and I was watching the video blind, just as an audience member, that's when I would have locked in and been like, oh, okay, this really is a 100% completion run. We're talking about Brigadoon now. There was someone on Twitter who was not very happy by seeing the thumbnail of my video, and I've seen other YouTubers talk about how when they release anything that's more than 2 hours long, there's just a wave of negativity where people are just offended by the fact that videos of that length exist. JXE has a great video about why their Doctor Who video that was 5 or 6 hours long got people angry at it. Why people just can't handle that much opinion, and they just sort of assume they know what the video is about, but it's not really about that. And one of the points that they made was that the video itself was sort of going over an entire season of Doctor Who, and thus it being 6 hours long isn't actually that much. If you assume that each episode is 45 minutes of analysis, then yeah, it's going to be that long. And people who are angry at my video for what could you possibly talk about for 36 hours in Five Nights at Freddy's? It's there's 48 short stories I was covering. Literally 48 stories, even if I never touched on The Fall of the House of Usher or Brigadoon. It's 48 stories. So yes, I do in fact have more than 45 minutes worth of things to say about each story, and that's how you would get to 36 hours. And so, reading this tweet over here, where someone grouped me in with the new Defunct Line video that came out the day of my video, I was like, I will never understand why someone would sort of be upset or offended by the existence of a long video, but I know that those people do exist. And a couple of people, a lot of my friends, sort of jumped to my defense, and one of them was T-Dreads. And I left a comment under his response, and I was like, do you think this guy would think it would prove his point more if he knew that there was an extended analysis of Brigadoon in the 36-hour video? Does covering things other than just the FNAF stories make it more justified how long it is? Or does it make people go, oh, now I get it, he's just filling it with fluff? Now we're going to talk about my biggest FNAF lore mistake, at least as far as my comment section and other YouTubers are concerned. I have a unique perspective on Midnight Motorist. And by unique perspective, I mean, it's one of the two outlined in the Ultimate Guidebook. A lot of people believe it, but I'm the only mainstream YouTuber who is still saying that it's not only likely, but the probable explanation of the minigame. I've explained it 3 times, literally, in its own video, but it basically goes like this. Orange Man is not William. If he was meant to be William, he would have been purple. I hit my microphone. I hope I didn't just ruin everything. Orange Man is not William. He's the father of an MCI victim. He is an abusive alcoholic. He goes home. His son, who takes, escapisms from his abusive home life to Freddy's, saw Bonnie outside his window. It was William. It was leading him off to go to the restaurant. The father comes home, sees that the kid broke out of the window, and sees Spring Bonnie's footprints in the bushes, and knows that he went to Freddy's. So all the different minigames in FNAF 6 would be the story of how Susie got lured by William, the story of how Charlie was killed by William, and now the story of how Gabriel or Fritz or Jeremy got lured by William. And one of the things that a lot of people bring up, because again, this is backed up in the Ultimate Guide, this is actually backed up in UCN, there's one of the Toy Chica the high school year scenes, which is about how William lured all the kids, and one of them is like, I'm gonna go to their house, and if they're not there, I'm gonna break a window. But the thing is, as this person points out, how could Springtrap be in the bushes during Midnight Motorist if it was raining? Wouldn't the Springlocks spring and kill him? And there's two answers to this. There's sort of the cop-out one, which is, it wasn't the Spring Bonnie suit, it was just the regular Bonnie suit. We can see that Glitch Trap in Help Wanted only has 3 toes, just like the bushes outside. But the reason that's a cop-out is because we hadn't seen the Spring Bonnie costume at that point, so how are we supposed to solve that? How are we supposed to solve that it wasn't the Springtrap suit? But 2, I think the more reasonable one, is that just because it's raining now doesn't mean it was raining when the kid got kidnapped. Earlier in the minigame, when we're playing Midnight Motorist and we're driving along the highway, it's not raining. When we pull onto our street, it is now raining. Just because it's currently raining when you're outside looking around to see what happened, does not mean it was raining when William was there getting the kid. No matter who the runaway is, the idea that they're looking out their window and they're like, you know what this is a good night for? Either being Michael or the crying child, either running away to the mound or running away to Freddy's. You know what it's a good night for? It's a good night to run away, even though it's pouring rain outside. You know what I'm gonna do if I'm a little kid and I see, like, Shadow Freddy outside my window? I'm gonna go and smash my window and chase after him in the rain. Like, most Midnight Motorist theories would not say that it's actively raining when the runaway runs away. It's just in my Midnight Motorist theory, it requires it to not be raining. So I really don't think that this is as big of a gotcha as a lot of the people who leave this comment say it is. So really, my biggest FNAF lore mistake isn't what I trick-seed you to believe it was. It's not that it's raining during Midnight Motorist. It's that I never explained myself properly, and also it's pretty unlikely that it's the cloth suit because we weren't introduced to that until Help Wanted. That's what it is. But yes, my belief in my Midnight Motorist theory has not been changed at all. Watch the movie, just like totally wreck that and make it impossible for some reason. Solid Silver asks, I have a question for you. How do you feel about a certain animated FNAF series or two called A Springlock Failure and A Springlock Fantasy? Well, given that A Springlock Fantasy isn't fully out yet, it would be hard for me to review that one. But A Springlock Failure is a phenomenal animation done by, Solid Silver, kinda sus, over on his channel. I'll link it in the description. I'm actually part of the next season of the Springlock Failure and also Springlock Fantasy. If you watch my 36-hour video, Solid Silver is the person who animated a lot of the animated Toto segments, and that story's going to be continued in a Springlock Fantasy. It's this big crossover with a lot of different FNAF tubers, and me and Toto are part of that lore. The next big topic we're going to talk about is the Ultimate Guide 2, which should be coming out in like 2 days, but it was leaked about 2 weeks ago. One of the things that a lot of people talk about when they were reading through it is that it really seems like the book was written by AI. And by really seems like, I mean, it's written poorly, and some people go, that's written poorly, it must be AI! Even though it, to me, does not read the way that ChatGPT specifically writes. I really do not think it was written by AI. There was one part of the book where someone said that the theory, the thing it was talking about, was worded very similarly to a way that Rytoast worded a theory in one of their videos. I think that because the Ultimate Guide is mainly about FNAF fan theories and not actual facts about the series, I mean, there's gameplay facts and stuff, but most of what it talks about are theories. That what this person did, whoever wrote this section of the book, watched Ryto's video, summarized it, and then it got published. And so what I said in my previous episode was, I don't think it's AI, I think it's plagiarism. Ryto's plagiarism. I guess that's what you get when you read 15 books in full on your channel. Okay, so I have 2 thoughts about this. One is, yes, it is wrong, it is plagiarism, it is copyright infringement, it is illegal for Rytoast and anyone else who has read a full audiobook of the Fazbear Frights books or any other book on their channel. That is illegal. You cannot do that. That is wrong. You can be sued for that. You can get a copyright strike for that. You cannot read an audiobook on your channel. The difference, I would not say this is W. Rytoast plagiarism, I would not say it's karmic justice, because the idea that Rytoast made a couple dollars off of reading one of Scott's books on their YouTube channel is sort of heavily outweighed by Scholastic, a multi-million-dollar company, taking Rye's ideas and making money off of it in a book. Like, yes, small guy steals from big company, bad because stealing is wrong. Big company steals from small guy, bad because they're big company and they should not have to resort to that. So yes, while it is wrong that Rytoast has those books on their channel, it is not karmic justice that Scholastic stole one of Rye's theories. So I would disagree with you, Shaggy. A lot of people believe not just that the book was written by AI, but that the secret 13th chapter, which discusses a non-existent FNAF game, you must have seen videos about this topic in your feed in the last couple days, but it was an AI hallucination. So Amy from Sonic here says, or Robbie Gill says, why are you saying AI hallucination, like the book was created by using the Phantom Ruby? I don't know what that's a reference to, but AI hallucinations is not some sort of sci-fi concept from, Phantom Ruby, again, anime or something, I don't know, maybe it's from Sonic. An AI hallucination is when you talk to something like ChatGPT, and you ask it a question, and because the artificial intelligence is programmed to answer your question, if you ask it something and it doesn't know it, it will just make something up. There's a pretty popular trend going on right now because of Google's AI, where if you go to Google and you type in, what does... I'll do it right now, actually. So I type into Google, what does the saying, the monkey is always right about the weather mean? That's not a saying, but Google's AI is going to have to come up with something because it's programmed to answer the question. My Google crashed. Very cool. I crashed it. I've never seen this before. I broke Google, so I'm asking ChatGPT. The phrase isn't a widely known proverb, but it does show up in a few contexts, and the meaning depends on how it's being used. In general, it conveys one of these ideas. 1. Someone who seems silly or unreliable ends up being correct. The monkey refers to a person or thing that isn't expected to be smart or trustworthy. Saying, the monkey is always right about the weather, means even the goofy or unexpected source turns out to be correct. So, this is an AI hallucination, where you're asking it to find information, and it doesn't exist, so it just makes it up. If you're just having a regular conversation with ChatGPT, this can also happen. When ChatGPT was first getting popular, it happened a lot with lawyers who were using it for court cases, where it would sort of write their argument for them and then cite non-existent cases. And so if you were to go to the links and you were to check them, you would find that they weren't citing any actual cases. People who were using them to write essays also found this in, like, the bibliography section. It would be like, oh, here's where I found this info, and it just made up a link that doesn't go anywhere. So an AI hallucination is when you ask an AI something and it just comes up with nothing because its number one result, its number one desire is to answer your question, and number 2 is to look for facts. Okay, I gotta ask, how is Toy Chica related to William Afton? I feel like I've missed a connection there. So in UCN, you can unlock these end-of-night minigames. Half of them are about Toy Chica's high school years, and half of them are about the Bear of Vengeance. Toy Chica's high school years is very clearly a retelling of the way that William lured and killed all the children. So Toy Chica is playing the role of William Afton, talking about, like, oh, I'm gonna follow this person to the house and break the window to get in. Oh, I'm gonna tell this person that their dog died and they're gonna be sad, and I'm gonna use that to, like, get to them. So Toy Chica is a stand-in for William Afton in those cutscenes. And there's a very famous clip of Dako saying this in a very matter-of-fact tone.
Toy Chica is William Afton.
So whenever a theorist says, Toy Chica is William Afton, or Toy Chica is William Afton, pronouncing it the way that Dako does, it's talking about how the Toy Chica character is a stand-in for William in UCN, and so it's possible that other areas of the franchise, Toy Chica is a stand-in for William. That's the end of the questions for this week. I did want to bring up the Ultimate Guide Toy Chica New Party thing, which, as I cannot emphasize this enough, is a real book, a real chapter in a real book that is not an AI hallucination, it is an ARG. Whether or not the game will eventually exist, whether it's going to be a minigame in Five Nights at Freddy's, whether it's going to be released the day the movie comes out, whether it's going to be released on the 2nd, whether it's nothing, and you're just supposed to read the book to solve some question, does not change the fact that it is real and it's an intentional puzzle made by Scott Cawthon that is so obviously correct. However, there was a hoax website created by some guys on Twitter, some FNAF fans, who made this hoax where if you go to Toy Chica, New Toy Chica's party, you could find some stuff hidden in the code of the website, you could find some songs, if you added words to the end of the website URL, you could unlock new pages. That was a fun little treasure hunt thing that was itself a hoax. The book is not a hoax, the ARG is not a hoax, but that Twitter thing was. Just wanted to make sure that was clear. I wanted to shout out my friend Minibyte's video where he relates the story of FNAF to Frankenstein, obviously. Something after my own heart. If you've watched my 36-hour-long video, you know how much I love the FNAF Frankenstein comparisons. And he specifically talks about how it relates to Help Wanted, which is a game I've not covered yet. I'm going to leave that as a link down in the description. Please go watch. And with that, thank you for watching. Be sure to be nice to each other in the comments, consider supporting the creators you admire, never lose sight of the things that are important to you. Remember that Freddy stands for friendly, respectful engagement, discussion, and discourse yield success. And remember, by next week, the FNAF movie will have already been out for a couple days. So when you click on my video here on this channel next week, it will be full spoilers for the FNAF movie. So make sure you see it opening weekend.